The cause of global inflation is due to the sudden increase in consumer demand after the COVID-19 pandemic. The amount of money pumped into the market to support the economy by major central banks is at a record level, while the supply of goods is limited by the disruption of global supply chain due to the trade war and pandemic. Inflation can affect the stock market by increasing the cost of production, increasing interest expense, and reducing corporate profits, and thus leading to a decline in price of shares in the stock market. For example, today in 2021, the price of one bottle of cooking oil is 40,000 VND per liter. However, in 2022, the price of one bottle of cooking oil will increase by 50,000 VND per liter due to the disruption of the global supply chain. The cost of raw materials for cooking oil increased, leading to an increase in the price of cooking oil. This has led to a rising inflation. The price of cooking oil can go up because the cost of producing it increases. Cooking oil producers may face pressure to reduce profits because they cannot increase the selling price of their products to offset their rising costs. As a result, investors may avoid investing in these companies, and their shares may decline in value in the stock market. In addition, as the cost of repaying loans to finance manufacturing business increases, business may have to pay higher interest rates on their loans. This can lead to reduced profits and increased risk of product development. At that time, the share price of the business may also decrease because investors are afraid of the risk of investing. In Vietnam, similar pressure is also present, but at a low level because the economy is growing well and the money is not being pumped massively into the market like developed countries, but instead is stimulating the economy through diverse taxes and fees. For a clearer and more in-depth perspective, please watch the following interview about the Vietnam's inflation in 2022.
Xin chào quý khán giả đến với bản tin ngày hôm nay. Thì chủ đề bản tin này là lạm phát ảnh hưởng đến như thế nào đến thị trường chứng khoán năm 2022. Lạm phát là một vấn đề hết sức là quan trọng và có thể tác động đến đời sống, nền kinh tế rất chi là nhanh chóng. Thì để có một góc nhìn sâu sắc hơn về lạm phát tác động đến thị trường chứng khoán năm 2022 thì bên cạnh tôi hôm nay thì có anh Khoa, trưởng phòng phân tích đầu tư. Ra cái góc nhìn của anh về thị trường năm 2022. Ra cái góc nhìn của anh về thị trường năm 2022. Ra cái góc nhìn của anh về
Cảm ơn câu hỏi của Giang. Về tình hình lạm phát thì trong năm 2022 ấy, thì lạm phát là một vấn đề khá là toàn cầu. Các nền kinh tế phương Tây thì lạm phát lên đến 8-10% so với cùng kỳ. Việt Nam thì lạm phát năm ngoái thì của chúng ta thì xoay quanh 4%, tức là chúng ta chịu một cái mức tăng giá ở mức rất là vừa phải so với thế giới. Cái mối liên hệ giữa lạm phát và thị trường chứng khoán nó chưa bao giờ là một mối liên hệ tuyến tính, tức là không có nghĩa rằng là lạm phát tăng nghĩa thì chứng khoán sẽ giảm hoặc là ngược lại, mà thị trường nó sẽ vận động theo những cái quy luật riêng của nó. Tất nhiên thì lạm phát là một cái biến số kinh tế vĩ mô, và khi mà lạm phát tăng mặt bằng lạm phát tăng trong dài hạn thì nó sẽ khiến cho chính sách tiền tệ thay đổi. Ngân hàng nhà nước thông thường sẽ phải dùng chính sách tiền tệ để mà kiềm chế lạm phát, và khi ngân hàng nhà nước tăng lãi suất lên thì điều đó nó sẽ ảnh hưởng trực tiếp đến giá trị của các doanh nghiệp. Thì khi đấy thì thông thường thị trường chứng khoán nó sẽ phản ứng theo hướng là tiêu cực khi mà mặt bằng lãi suất tăng lên. Đó. Còn tất nhiên là Để mà giải thích thị trường chứng khoán bằng lạm phát thì đấy là một việc rất là, theo mình nghĩ rằng là nó chưa đầy đủ.
Em cảm ơn cái góc nhìn chia sẻ của anh Khoa cho quý khán giả cùng được lắng nghe. During an interview, I'd like to point out Vietnam's inflation rate in the period from 2010 to 2022. According to the analysis DNC Security Company in 2011, the inflation rate in Vietnam reached to 18.6%, which was the highest within 2010 to 2020 period. However, from 2011 to 2015, the inflation decreased and dropped by 0.53% in 2015 because worldwide price fell sharply. Currently, Vietnam's average inflation rate is 4 to 6, with a slight increase of 3.15% in 2022, mainly due to the influence of the Russia and Ukraine conflict, and besides global supply chain during the COVID-19 pandemic. Compare inflation with other countries in 2020. As you can see in this slide, Vietnam is experiencing no inflation, which shows that the government is controlling it effectively. In addition, let's observe the Vietnam stock market from 2008 to 2022. Of the data gathered in 2008, the stock market with CPI priced, the stock market fell in a sharp reduction cycle into the successful controls, causing the stock market to rise again. In 2011, inflation increased again, causing the stock market to fall again. In 2015, inflation was at a record low. The stock market rallied strong. 2021 to 2022, it will increase again, and stock market is showing signs of decline again. To have an overview the effects of inflation on stock markets, pros and cons, next part, Mr. Lee will describe more clear about that.
So I will describe the impact of inflation on the Vietnamese stock market in 2022. The inflation is a key economic indicator that affects various aspects of country's economy, including the stock market. In Vietnamese context, inflation has both direct and indirect consequences on the stock market. The high inflation can negatively impact the stock market by eroding purchasing power, causing interest rates to rise, and creating uncertainty among investors. So next, I will show you some factors affecting inflation and Vietnamese stock market in 2022. These factors include the global economic recovery. The world economy has gradually recovered from COVID-19 pandemic, resulting in increased demand for goods and services. This has led to the rise in global inflation, which has also affected into Vietnamese economy. The next is the supply chain disruption. The ongoing global supply chain disruption has led to the shortage of raw materials and finished goods, it contributing to the higher production costs and inflationary pressures in Vietnam. So it's also affected the exchange rate fluctuation. The Vietnamese dong exchange rate against major currencies has a significant impact on inflation and the stock market, as it affects import and export price and foreign investment inflows. Disadvantage of inflation for the Vietnamese stock market. The high inflation can have several negative effects on the Vietnamese stock market, such as the erosion of the purchasing power. The high inflation reduces the purchasing power of consumers, leading to the decreased demand for goods and services. This can negatively impact corporate revenues and earnings, result in a lower stock prices. The next is the rising interest rate. In an attempt to curb inflation, the HBV may raise interest rate. The higher interest rates increase borrowing costs for businesses, which can reduce investment, hinder economic growth, and lead to the lower stock price. We have some example for the inflation. The example that is the high inflation result in the rising interest rate, and it may have caused the affecting businesses, and so the last is the declining profits of so the last is some advantage of the inflation. That's the opportunity for the investor. Despite the potential negative effects of inflation on the Vietnamese stock market, it can also present opportunities for savvy investors. During periods of high inflation, the certain sectors or industry may outperform others. For example, the companies operating in sectors with strong pricing power, such as the consumer staples, may fare better in an inflationary environment. Additionally, stocks with high dividend yields can provide an income stream that help offset the impact of inflation on an investor's purchasing power. By carefully analyzing market conditions and diversifying their portfolio, the investor can capitalize on the opportunities presented by inflation and potentially achieve positive returns.
To mention high inflation rates probably comes from past observations rather than convincing scientific evidence. It is that deep fear that helps us to have the necessary caution, contributing to reducing the risk of high inflation. Vietnam is having the most stable macro foundation since opening for integration. Instead of worrying too much about the high inflation, we should focus on investment and production and business, making good use of the opportunities of the rapidly changing Vietnam. Inflation is not that necessarily bad as people think. Inflation even helps bring out certain benefits. For example, in some cases, moderate inflation can help reduce unemployment.